Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Grow business. Transform Gujarat.
So the topic on which we are going to discuss today, we are talking about making the reality of profitable sustainability. What are the economics of low carbon transition? So while I was sitting there and listening to all experts over here, I realized what one of the speakers in the morning said, sustainability is the ethos of being Indian. Since time I remember, even the cloths which we wear, so might be couple of people in the same house must have worn the same cloth, from elder brother to younger one, like that. So what is that? That is sustainability, if you ask me. After that, when I went to my college, I did my architecture and then urban planning from CEPT Ahmedabad. And I kept on learning more and more things, more and more jargons, more and more vocabulary of sustainability, and I realized, we read about subjects like vernacular architecture, climate responsive architecture while graduating. When I came into industry, we learned about green buildings. Today people talk about blue buildings, MDCs, SDGs, and now we are talking about transiting towards net zero. What does this all mean? What is the significance of all this? This all will only make sense when there is a business case. And specifically for the sector which we are going to talk today, which is real estate. Why real estate? If we want to achieve transition to net zero, real estate plays a very significant and important role, because if you see, globally, this is an established fact that about 35% of the electricity consumption goes to the building, 40% of entire emissions which are happening from buildings. So buildings plays a very important role. But if we see, this is buildings, though buildings play a very important role, but in real estate sector, if we see, compliances and adopting sustainability has been a challenge. But today, if we see, there is a very substantial business case for sustainability, and the format which we will adopt would be slightly different. I have 4 experts with me. They all will make a short presentation. I'll say a flash presentation, talk about what they've been doing, and then we will follow, that would be followed by Q&A. So can I invite Dr. Sunita Purushottam, Head of Sustainability and CSR at Mahindra Lifespace Developer Limited. She is a very passionate speaker and she talks a lot about biodiversity, green, and when I talk about green, she talks about not just green building, but she talks about green plants and biodiversity. Over to you, ma'am. Yeah, so might be we can have a short presentation.
I'll just wait for the presentation to come up. I hope it has been submitted. Yeah, cool. So, yeah, we have 5 minutes. Yeah, cool. So, I'll talk about the topic itself, that is economics of low carbon transition. And as a company, Mahindra Lifespaces had committed to 100% green building portfolio since 2014. Even when the economics was not very clear, but the commitment was there, and now we have committed to net zero buildings. So let's see what is the business case of this transformation. So this is our pledge that by 2030, all the buildings that we make will be net zero, energy, water and waste. Water is very, very difficult, and this is our journey of the first 3 net zero homes. The first one being in Bangalore, the second one again second one being in Bombay, and the third one in Bangalore again. And there is, of course, a cost of going green, and these are numbers from IGBC. And we have seen that earlier in 2016-17, the cost of achieving the silver, gold, and platinum rating were very, very high. But with time, silver, the base minimum, actually is equivalent to meeting the regulations. So regulations have caught up, right? And therefore, we can't consider it as an added cost of green. And correct me, Karthikeyan, if this is wrong. I'll share my slides with you. So incremental cost of certified green homes have reduced significantly in time, and we have also made an attempt to compute how much was the incremental cost as a percentage of the cost of construction. And it has come out to be less than 1%, and this is for the net zero energy building. And one may argue, because it is in Bangalore, it's a mixed mode building, and there is no cooling that we are providing to the residents over there. The cost is significantly lower. It's a platinum net zero energy building, that is Eden. Nostalgia is a gold rated building. The cost is 0.16% of the COC, and Kalyan 2, it's an affordable segment project, and it is 0.28. But Kalyan is also a healthy home, so we are trying out some air pollution related monitoring and interventions associated with air pollution over there. And other projects by IGBC, I've put the numbers, and internal projects that we computed at Mahindra Lifespaces, the cost is less than 1% of the COC. And if we were to, so the incremental cost is lower than the base if everything is factored during design, and hence the design intervention is required. So the green building benefits to customers are umpteen. In fact, it results in pocket savings to the customers, not only in terms of energy, water, waste management, but also in terms of health benefits. For developers across the country, there are benefits in terms of FSI or TDR or property tax rebate. If we were not if we didn't look at it, what is the challenge? The challenge that we have associated with climate change is going to intensify. And if the developer moves out, of course, it's the residents or the customers who are going to, have a challenge associated with this kind of flooding. And this is from a Kalyan project. 2021, these pictures are from that location. So we had to look at the hydrology and hydrogeology, and we also calculated the price that a developer will pay now. And every year we compute the cost of climate that we have to incur. Now, whether it is in terms of rising mean temperature and how the productivity of the workers will be, there is a cost associated with it. Flooding at project sites, because the customers will not let us hand over and move because flooding is happening, basement leakages are happening, water is coming through the basement, sometimes like fountain. So flood-prone sites, water scarcity at project sites, and how do we really mitigate that? And the emerging regulations and changing consumer preferences. And as we speak, there are several builders now who are looking at developing a different type of portfolio. So I just wanted to showcase the customer benefits of low flow fixtures, rainwater harvesting, and wastewater treatment. These are some of our computations that we have done in terms of customer benefits. It's 4 to 26% per square feet. I'll just go through very quickly. It's 5 to 40 rupees per square feet, annual maintenance cost savings when it comes to energy savings. And the customer benefits associated with waste is 5 to 15 rupees per square feet in annual maintenance cost savings. So these are the summary of customer benefits that we have. So it does make a case for people buying green homes, and hence higher sales for companies that are selling green homes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sunita. Dr. Sunita, you made a very strong case. What are the advantages of making green? So cost reduction, operational cost, operational reduction, everything is there. But what I want to understand, because if we have to promote sustainability and sustainable houses, is customer ready to pay extra for that or give premium for that?
So the customers are definitely interested. They may not understand it from the perspective of green or net zero or sustainability, but they do understand from the perspective of a climate responsive home when you explain it in terms of ventilation, when you explain it in terms of the greenery that is there and the biodiversity you're preserving, whether they are, so with Eden, the experience has been that the average price realization and the rate of sale was very high. So I think in the first launch, 3 days it was a sold out. In the next phase launch, 4 days it was a sold out. So that is the response that we have received. And likewise for Vista and the other project. And whether they call it green or not, a sustainable home definitely probably appeals. And whether they are willing to pay, that we'll have to test out by putting a green surcharge perhaps in future projects.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think this is the discussion we also had some time back, and you said might be customer does not know, specifically in residential home buyer, who does not understand he wants to buy green or he wants to give premium for green, but definitely he understands that the productivity increases, ambience increases, there might be urban heat island effect if spaces are well created. So can I request you now to give us a small presentation on your topic, which is economics of low carbon transition. Please come. Is also very passionate about sustainability, and he heads urban net zero urban accelerator, which is run by Lodha developer in Mumbai.
Thank you, Ashish. So all the data that we just saw in Sunita's presentation, it makes it amply clear that if you go for sustainability, the premium or the extra costs do not matter as much. So while you had the understanding of the data now, I will start with a story. It is not always right to ask this question with a lens of, kitna fayda hoega. So you see this photo on your screen. It is Indian hockey team. We used to win the gold medals in Olympics starting 1936 all the way up to 60s and even up until the 70s. So what happened? Why did we stop winning these medals in Olympic? So in the early 70s, we were coming out of the war, and at the same time, the hockey ecosystem was shifting from grass-based to AstroTurf. And the same question was asked at that time, when it was the time for India to invest in AstroTurf. That it is too expensive, why shall we do it? And we had a star team. We were winning this just all the time. Just because we did not take that decision, we started losing. And then the last medal we got was just 4 years back. So it took us a 30-year impact of not taking the right decision by simply comparing the costs and not expanding our horizon to what the right question was. So now, on one side, it was loss of a gold. On the other side, there is this gold rush, which is happening in India now. So 15% of global growth is coming from India, and it will continue to be so. Our per capita incomes will rise. That will lead to more than 100 million people becoming home ownership capable. Now, these people will move to cities. These people will enable this unprecedented scale of urbanization in India. Now, the urbanization, which is also a solution and an outcome of growth, and it also feeds back into growth, the problem is that it is also one of the biggest greenhouse gas emitter. So if we do not do this urbanization well, there is this chance that we lose this opportunity. We lose this gold rush once again. So we have this opportunity of developing, we have this opportunity of changing our ways and ensuring energy security, climate security, and material security. And that's the decision that we have to take now. And that is why we do not have to look only at the very simplistic lens of whether at this moment it is profitable or not. And if we change our perspective and ask the question differently, we'll realize that any investment into sustainability is actually not a extra cost. Approximately 70% or 60% of interventions we can do at no extra cost. It is just by being more aware and more sensible, we can do things in equal or less amount of money. The next thing that we can do is that we can take the lens of the life cycle impacts. And the moment you do that, you realize that another 20% of interventions can be done when we take the whole life cycle impact in our mind. And then at the end, as I said in the earlier slide, it is very important that because India needs to grow and needs to grow at this unprecedented scale, we need to develop sustainably. And this sustainability will enable this growth in India, from increasing productivity to increasing the overall size of the economy, to even taking leadership in certain key sectors, not only here but globally. I think this is an opportunity that we are staring at, and we should consider this, one, as a responsibility, and second, as an investment for the long run. I come from Lodha. We are one of the largest real estate developers in the country. We are working with Rocky Mountain Institute. They are our partners in Net Zero Urban Accelerator, about which we will be talking in the session as we go ahead. So that is all the time that we have.
Yeah, thank you so much. So on what you said reminds me of that quote, which is, this planet, Mother Earth, we have not inherited it from our ancestors, we have borrowed it from our children. So that is the approach which we should have for sustainability, and sustainability is not a short-term game, it's a long-term commitment. So now, as you were also talking about your accelerator, so I have a question for you on that. So many sustainability initiatives, many a times remain too premium because it might need a lot of investments, etc. So how does Lodha Urban Accelerator ensure that the sustainable urban solutions which you are coming up with, and I've been reading a lot of articles which you have, and most of your articles are also talking about embodied carbon and those aspects, are scalable and are applicable for affordable and mid-income housing?
Okay, so first of all, I think now this question of whether do we have to pay a premium to incorporate sustainability, I think it's a very antiquated question. It no longer is valid. And starting now that you were mentioning about embodied carbon, if you go for greener concrete mixes, they are cheaper. If you go for greener steel or recycled steel, it is cheaper. If you go for the AAC blocks, they are cheaper. If you buy equipment in bulk and if you buy equipment with efficiency, it pays off within a couple of years. If you integrate renewable energy at scale, your payback is within 3 years. So if you look at the entire spectrum of solutions, while you are not getting very close to net zero, but you are achieving significant advantages without any extra cost. So, I mean, even if it is a premium project or not, you can integrate sustainability to a large extent. What the accelerator is trying to do is, we are trying to engineer those solutions which need to be implemented at scale, and the challenges that we face in scaling them up is something that we want to bring out in open, where such discussions can start, where we are able to find fixes for those challenges.
Yeah, thank you so much, On. So basically you are saying once technology is there, when solutions are there, it does not matter whether it is premium, affordable, so it can go anywhere. It is like a technology is being developed for army, but subsequently those niche technologies will spread all through the sector.
So in our developments, even affordable housing has 5-star ACs.
Yes.
It is simply possible because of bulk purchase
Absolutely.
opportunity.
So I would now request Mr. S. Karthikeyan, who is Deputy Executive Director, CII and Indian Green Building Council. He has been instrumental in many of green certification of large buildings which we see all through India.
Thank you, Chairman. I think I need not to talk here. Already, both of them have talked about how the green buildings makes a lot of business sense, how the cost is also lower. In fact, my presentation has no meaning, but still, I will try to summarize in some 3 scenarios. You know, initially, you need not to upload the presentation.
Sir, it would have a lot of significance for a lot of people who are here.
Okay. I will try to highlight 3 scenarios before getting into that. Yes, we started the green building movement as part of Indian Green Building Council. It has grown a lot in the last 2 decades. Right now, we are talking about close to about 13 billion square feet of green building footprint with about, say, 15,000 projects adopting the green and net zero concepts. So this scenario actually made a lot of impact. Initially, the scenario is when you go green, there will be a reduction in your operating cost. That is the way we looked at. You know, obviously, everybody spoke about an marginal increase in cost of construction. That cost of construction will get paid back because your operating cost is coming down. This was the first scenario. And the marginal increase in cost also, as Dr. Sunita Purushottam has mentioned, it has gradually started coming down way back from 2004 when we started with about 18% increase to as low as about, say, 1% marginal increase. When I say 1% in about, say, 5,000 crore project, 1%, you cannot even look at it. That is the way it has become, economically viable. Now, the second scenario is, generally when we talk about a green building, people generally think, yes, it is not only about green building, the green products also matter. And the green products are costlier. It is a myth. Let me make it very clear, it is a myth. If you are able to, design well and choose the right products and materials in the beginning, you will be able to even bring down the cost of construction. There are enough scenarios wherein we are talking about reducing the cost of construction itself. Of course, my colleague Mr. An spoke about it. If you start going for a blended cement, your cost of construction is coming down. If you start going for a recycled steel, your cost of construction is coming down. If you choose a high fly ash based bricks and other materials, the cost of construction is coming down. The same thing is applicable from the green building point of view. Right now, we are not talking about any incremental cost. It is actually the cost of construction can be lowered if you choose the right design and the right product by design. So that is the scenario we are talking about. There are enough case studies which are saying the cost of construction has come down by even 2 to 3%. We have clear cases. Now the third scenario is coming up. Okay, so far we spoke about green. Now we are going one step further in terms of achieving net zero. When we are talking about net zero, it is something like making it even more stringent. In green buildings, we used to talk about 20% reduction in energy consumption or 30% reduction in energy consumption. Now, you are going further in terms of reducing the energy consumption and also meeting the entire requirement through renewable energy sources. Similarly, in terms of water neutrality, as well as eliminating the waste to landfill as well. So all these efforts in terms of, helps the building to reduce their carbon footprint, both in terms of embodied carbon as well as the operational carbon. So when you start moving towards net zero, you may not achieve net zero in one shot. Of course, it is a journey. But when you start moving towards net zero, you will be actually reducing the resources even more compared to the green building. So when we say even more compared to the green building, your operating cost will come down even more. Your construction cost will come down even more. So if you look at from net zero point of view, actually the net zero makes business sense even more compared to a green building. That is a point I would like to highlight here. So the 3 scenarios, initially we thought about the green building costing more but paying back. Then we said the green buildings also is lower in cost when you are doing it right. Now net zero, it will make more business sense compared to even the green building. That is where I would like to stop, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So Karthikeyan ji, you mentioned that India is has a very large footprint of green building, which is a reality today. But if I see green building today has become a hygiene. So everybody is making green. Where is the alpha? So I think today market is moving beyond green and they are now moving towards net zero. And net zero again, net zero water, net zero energy, net zero, ultimate aim would be net zero carbon. But, and also you remember during lunch we were having big backstage discussion amongst ourselves and a couple of us felt it is difficult to achieve net zero today. So what do you think is net zero buildings really possible?
Yeah.
And how can we do that?
So this is a fundamental question, everybody asks us, okay, net zero is a reality. In my opinion, yes, right now, if you look at from a building point of view, we should not look at as a net zero carbon in totality. Look at it in two parts. One is in terms of the operational carbon, which is a very significant part. Making operational carbon net zero is possible. You need to go for, 100% renewable, and you can also work on net zero water, you can address the waste. So addressing the operational carbon is technically feasible as well as economically viable. There is no different opinion on this. A lot of projects have demonstrated this. Right now we are working with close to about 175 projects all over the country. But the second component, if you look at from embodied carbon point of view, when I say embodied carbon, it is because of the products and materials which go as part of the building. Making the embodied carbon net zero is right now, number one, neither technically feasible nor economically viable. Why technically not feasible? Because the supply chain itself is not ready for it. The supply chain has got a lot of hard to abate sectors, including steel and cement. But they are all putting effort in terms of reducing the carbon footprint. So that means the carbon footprint is gradually coming down. So in this case, when you start working on reducing the carbon footprint, please keep it in mind, your supply chain also is reducing the cost of production. That means these products will become more and more economically viable. That means the cost is likely to come down. So the question is all about, yes, we need to embrace the journey, look at how we are going to reduce the embodied carbon. So from our point of view, what we are saying is, from the embodied carbon point of view, don't look at achieving zero right now, but start looking at a threshold and then gradually, say a target, and gradually start improving the target. Right now, we are talking about 700 kg per meter square as an embodied carbon target. Many of the projects have, gone beyond that. They are talking about 500 kg per meter square, even less. So from that point of view, it is a journey. We can achieve it over a period of time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing out that very important point that we are on a journey towards net zero carbon. We are not there, and that journey has to be taken up. Today, we might not have those products, and having those products even might not be feasible economically because supply chains are not there, suppliers are not there, a lot of things are not there. So I just remember when we first launched space mission, so the total computing power which might be there might be less than what might be there today. Yeah. So net zero is possible, might not be with today's technology, but yes, we have to work towards it, and ultimately we'll be there, both operational and embodied.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Now I have with me another speaker, Mr. Loveleen, Garg. We all have been talking about buildings, but he is one person who is not just talking about buildings, he's creating entire city. A smart city, GIFT smart city, which is on moving towards adopting various sustainability initiatives. So can I request you to come and share a small presentation, 5-minute flash presentation with our audiences?
Thank you, Mr. Gupta, for a nice introduction, and as well as Mr. Mantri, and then the person from Lodha and IGBC we have seen. We talk about the houses, we talk about the urbanism, and we talk about the certifications and the methods, protocol followed by the country to declare themselves green or to adopt the methodology of sustainability. In the same line, when we talk about city, why we need cities and why these green homes Now that I think the journey of green buildings in the country is almost of 2 decades. Now we have to move forward, and we have to come urbanization. When we talk about, it's growing very fast in the country. We have seen our cities are growing from its city core till its periphery like anything. What's happening? The city sizes from its core, maybe from few kilometers to hundreds of kilometers, has been growing. So why it's happening? The questions comes because in the country, urbanization is happening at a very fast, rapid growth. And it's expected by 2050, around 80% population will be staying in the urban cities. So the target, the bigger umbrella, the bigger framework is to make our city sustainable and net zero, and how we can achieve that. When we see the city we are experiencing, and we are, day to day, interfacing with the various challenges, issues related to pollution, related to traffic and transportations, related to the governance systems, related to the social issues. So how can we come together and can stitch all these issues together and can achieve something which is, we can say, sustainable lifestyle, or the, the net zero carbon cities. So it's the only solution. We talk about the Ahmedabad city, which has grown in last 2 decades more than 100%. The area in 1995 was around 200 square kilometer, and in the next 2020, it's become 426 kilometer square. Just imagine, from houses to the urbanism to the large-scale infra projects or the real estate project. When you talk about the cities, the wastewater which which I drain from my house travels hundreds of kilometers. The waste which I generate at my home, it's traveling in Indian cities more than 100 kilometers to go. It's for final destination, for the disposal purpose. So we have to think whether the sustainability is the solution or it's a challenge. But it's a challenge for all of us, for our experts, how we can embed all these aspects of various natures or various attributes in a single framework to achieve something like, which we can say the sustainable cities. A city which I am showing here is, defined well in the economic base, good environmental quality, good traffic and transportations, available energies, and a lot of things are there. So we call it, there's the cities which is from the developed countries. So if we talk about the cities in the developed countries which are much better in terms of service utilities and the quality of services for a common man, are they sustainable? The question comes, if they're sustainable, so why there everyone is in the race of becoming smart? The parameter here we talk about the cities or urbanism, the cities from the developing countries is emitting almost 80% energy consumption of those countries is in the cities, which is directly and indirectly causing of carbon emissions of about 75% from which. So if we talk about the cities which is in the developed countries and the cities where we are within the country, where we are inspiring for our the fastest growing economy and the fastest urbanizations. And we know the city is considered to be a growth engine of economy. So if we consider all these parameters, so do we have a facilities or do we have a dream from leapfrogging to vault mounting? So that's the, I think, better and the best time which we Indians is, having. We don't need to follow the technology which has been, adopted by the developed countries and the same things. So we have a very good chance and opportunity to wall mount rather than the leapfrogging and adopting those technology. So one of the few examples here we see that as an Indian, we have not utilized the pager. We have directly jumped from telephone, landline to the mobile phone. So in the same manner, like we were talking about the sustainability, the cost effects, and the very nice example of the Olympic gold medals. So is it the right time where we can think of creating something which we will be needing in the future? So with the vision, our Honorable Prime Minister, then CM of Gujarat State in 2007, put the vision of a gift city, which is Gujarat International FinTech City, as the city of a smart city nature and having the sustainable and the low carbon footprint. If you see the vision itself of city which was written by our Honorable Prime Minister, it talk about land is a constrained resource. You know, as we talk about our city, which have our countries or country which have more than 40% of GDP based on agro-based economy, we can't just expand our city like that. So this is a solution has to identify, considering land is a very constrained resource, how we can go vertical. And then the city which we talk about as a sustainable city, it's not only about the energy or water or wastewater. There's a multiple factors which we can achieve and we can put into the master planning. In fact, starting from urban planning, starting from the water management, wastewater management, governance is very important. Cooling, when you talk about cooling is the utmost requirement of our urban systems. As per the this National Cooling Action Plan, that the cooling energy which we consume as on today in country is almost 1/10 of global average. So when the city will build up, we'll grow our urbanism cities. This urbanism city will grow like with this scale to accommodate the urban population. So cooling demand is going to be increased. So as I told you, it's not only the solution, it's a challenge which we have to come together and identify how we can deliver the best. So in the same line, the GIFT City, which has been considered with the its sustainability centric approach in the master planning or its envision, and with the re-engineering the processes. Why we think only the waste can be traveled through by manually, by transporting through the truck? Why not why the buildings can have only central cooling systems, not as a district cooling systems, as a city level? And then if it stitched together all these aspects, that we can achieve a low carbon cities, which is the GIFT City, which we have achieved in last 2 decades. These are few examples of the cities. When we talk about the smart and sustainable cities, it's about the well-defined economic base, more sustainable and healthy lifestyle, integrated cities, walk-to-work culture, efficient form of urban governance, and then intelligent to integrate resource efficiency. Why it is important as a smart feature in a city or in a building, the things which cannot monitor, cannot never manage. So when you talk about green buildings, considering the water requirement, wastewater generation, and the energy requirement, we have to monitor and keep monitoring so that we can see where we can improve. It's a continual improvement process.
Yeah.
I'm just finishing. So in the GIFT City, we have seen the innovation in rethinking and re-engineering the urban systems as a city level. So where we have automatic waste collection systems, we have district cooling systems, utility tunnel to pass all the services, so the digging-free city in future, and as well as zero waste water systems. And the advanced technology enablers for as a sustainable urban systems. So we have city control command center where the live monitoring of all the environmental resources is being done, and the generators who are generating more can be contacted shortly, and demand analysis can be done. So these are the cities' few savings which we can say how much carbon emissions and the energy we have saved. So these are the few certifications we achieved by the IGBC as the first platinum operational city. And as well as we're talking about the continual process, we have just achieved the EMS 14,000, so that my department, all stakeholders, can continually improve their systems. So it's something like, which is not a one-time, it's a lifetime achievement.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Having said that, we can say the city which was from vision to reality, sustainable cities. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Loveleen. We all are struggling and discussing and debating. Please, up. We all are discussing, debating, and talking how to make buildings net zero or reduce carbon. And here we have Loveleen, who is talking about making an entire city low carbon. Great. So Loveleen, my another question to you, follow-up question to you would be from policy and urban planning perspective. So what are the biggest hurdles in making entire city carbon neutral, and how do you think we are addressing it in India today?
Yeah. So in India, we talk about, first I'll just give a brief introduction in GIFT City. GIFT City is not a project. done by a, some developer. It's basically a city which has a constitutional power delegation as a city municipal corporation as well as development authority. So if we talk about the cities which Gupta is asking, if they compare to the other cities, so there we have multiple stakeholders. Development authorities are there, municipal corporations are there, and as well as the this utility service providers, water and electricity. So the unique proposition in GIFT City is that we are the single window clearance, so that authority, municipal corporations, and all utility service providers are under a single umbrella. So here, when we do the master plan from the urban planning perspective, so as I told you that about the sustainability initiatives, which we should be in the master plan level, like in terms of the orientation of buildings, identifying the proper spaces for my city utilities, for water, wastewater, for electricity, for ICT cabling. So the proper space preservation is very, very necessary, which we don't see in our cities. So generally what's happening in that normal traditional cities, the master plan is built, which talks about basically a land use donations and direct the development control. But somehow, if we talk about carbon sustainability, if we keep the space provisions for our future demand and can embed it in the urban planning, which can help us. And the second, as for the regulatory mechanism, our building GDCR, which we call the development control regulations, it's a regulatory requirement to become a green building in the GIFT City. It's a regulatory requirement to have IBMS in the GIFT City. So any developer who comes here, so they follow the rules, they build it, and they find it much better than the normal way. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Dr. Sunita, my next question to you is, I know you are very passionate about biodiversity and nature-based solutions. So what do you think, what is the role of nature-based solution in achieving sustainability in residential real estate development in residential buildings? And does it lead to higher operational and maintenance cost?
So, see, if we destroy nature, and there is quantification work happening globally on this, the cost that it will incur for us is going to be higher, whether in terms of flood risk or mitigation of air pollution, or even the connect that we have with nature. So there are studies going on which actually put a cost to it, and I wouldn't want to get there. But from a real estate perspective, the only thing that I mentioned to my business development team is, so they asked me, okay, Sunita, what should I put as a cost for the landscape development and trees? I said, see, if you give me a site which has a lot of trees, I will tell you that they have to be transplanted, preserved, conserved. So your site will have constraints, your FSI will get reduced, you will have to put a cost to the transplantation. Now suppose even if you don't do the transplantation, you will have to get the NOC, you have to cut the tree, and then you have to do the compensatory tree plantation. So there is a cost associated with that. So from a business case perspective, a site which does not have heritage trees, and too much of greenery, then it is costlier to develop a land which has, so from a developer perspective, so that's the cost associated with it. Now in terms of mitigation, if you were to integrate SUDs, which is sustainable urban drainage systems, or using composting as a system, they are easier, less concrete, and are more resilient when it comes to flood mitigation and waste management. So many of these solutions can be integrated and can help save CapEx than incurring OpEx.
Thank you so much. In the interest of time, I would request to shorten 2 minutes answer. I have a clock before me. So my next question is to you, and you were talking about that sustainability has to be a large long-term journey. So do you think are tenants and multinational corporations willing to pay higher lease premium for energy efficient commercial spaces? And do you think that there are any financial incentive for landlords to invest in sustainability?
See, again, this is also an antiquated question. All the corporates in all grade A buildings, it is their now primary requirement to be as green as possible, and not only are they talking about the certificates, they are also talking about the extent of integration of renewable energy in those projects. The extent of amenities which are provided and which are aligned with not only environmental but larger ESG requirements. So from a commercial development standpoint, they are willing to pay the premium, and not only are they willing to pay the premium, they are insisting on the depth of interventions that you have done on your projects. One. Second, in India, we do not have rental residential real estate. So we normally sell the homes, and now any individual can rent that home to somebody else. But when you are talking about sustainability, and many times we start talking about carbon and net zero, we also need to update the language to what the customer is more interested in. So if customer is interested in durability, then again it is sustainability. If the customer is interested in water resilience, then again it is sustainability. If the customer is interested in cooler environments, it is again sustainability. They don't want flood to come inside their property, especially in flood prone areas. Then you are integrating climate risks into their climate risk resolution into your projects, but they are asking for flood protection. That is also sustainability.
Yeah.
And they are willing to pay the premium. They are more interested to live in those projects, and there is sufficient and more demand for developments like that.
Yeah. So I will not have a follow-up question to you on this, but yes, you have moved beyond sustainability to resilience also. And resilience is also very important, and that is also extension of sustainability, I'll rather say. So Karthikeyan ji, my next question to you is, because you have a global perspective in terms of India. Entire India is your turf. You work across. So according to you, are there any specific regions or cities in India where green building adoption is growing faster? And if yes, then what are the key factors for that trend in that particular geography?
Okay. Suppose if you look at from the green buildings and net zero buildings, what are the driving forces? Why somebody is adopting? Primarily now the economic sense has become a larger driving force. You know, if I go green, yes, it makes business sense for me. The second aspect is, obviously some of the states, especially 11 states in the country, have come out with incentives for building green. So in a way, the incentives also can be part of the business case again, because the incentive, when I start availing, I can make more money out of this. So these are the primary driving forces from the green building point of view. From that aspect, wherever there is incentive, obviously the growth rate is much higher. And some of the, in case of Maharashtra, there is no major incentive, but still the awareness and the business case is the larger driving force. So the more number of buildings are coming up in Maharashtra and Gujarat. The point, very important aspect is, I am not bothered about these driving forces. These driving forces are clearly economic driving forces. What is more important is the demand that need to come from the end users. The end user should start demanding, yes, I need green building, whether he is a commercial space or it is a residential space. That driving force is actually missing. In fact, it is in a very, very nascent stage. We need to build on that driving force. Yeah.
Excellent. I think this is also what I wanted to listen from this panel, and this is what I have listened many a times when I am talking to experts. So might be end user is not willing to pay that premium or that.
Okay. Of course, Mr. An has very nicely articulated the same answer, but my point is this. Don't expect a premium out of because you are going for a green building. Okay, it may not happen many of the times, but it has become a table stake now. The corporates are demanding for green buildings. People started demanding in some cases for green residential buildings. So if you don't go for green, you will be losing it, whether you are getting premium or not.
Absolutely. So that premium might not be in price, but that premium might be in increased sales velocity or higher occupancy.
Yeah, exactly.
Which again
so
is,
quickly you will be able to rent out. Quickly you will be able to sell it out.
Absolutely. Which again, according to me as a professor of valuation, so that is again enhancing asset value. Loveleen, my next question is to you. You were talking about various renewable energy initiative, district cooling, energy efficient waste management. Do you think this all translate into Yes, cost saving definitely. Also an increased real estate demand and pricing for you.
Yeah, if we talk about the first of its kind infrastructure which has been taking place in the GIFT City, like district cooling systems and then zero liquid waste discharge to the sewage waste and the utility tunnel. So obviously it's a one-time investment which we have put into the city infrastructure from the perspective of energy efficiency. Like the district cooling systems is a 30% energy efficient as per the cooling we talk about. Because the cooling energy, if it convert with this, the baseline scenario which we generally utilize through the cooling systems as an individual building level compared to the district cooling system at a city level. Because there we have an economy of scale as well as the need-based cooling requirement in individual towers. So what's happened when the developers wanted to come to the GIFT City, so what we have economic benefits of having the upper hand in selling our plots to the developers. When the developers come, they take and they build space in the GIFT City. So they have another cutting edge advantages of giving his only on faster pace. Yeah. Because we're talking about from Mumbai example and national, international level experience. In the GIFT City itself, we have seen whoever is setting up the big corporates, setting up of offices in the GIFT City. So they look for the grade A level real estate spaces. Yeah. So it's when talk about grade A real estate, so talk about the operational efficiency, the energy efficiency. Because if you see all these big corporates have their own sustainability vision.
Right.
So it's if we are providing the built space which is already low carbon economy, low carbon or either maybe the energy efficient built space.
Right.
So it's meet with their demand and they don't need to spend much when they come to your spaces.
Yeah. Thank you.
So that's the basically the crux of the matter.
Yeah. Thank you so much. In the interest of time, and I am almost at the end of the session. So my last quick question to all panelists, and that the answer needs to be in 1 or 2 words. So what does 1, 2, and 3, what does sustainability mean to you? Starting with Dr. Sunita.
So it's very personal.
Okay. Yes. On.
So I think it is responsibility.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it is part of our life.
Yeah, further
it's part of
our life.
Part of our life.
Yeah.
It's a challenge which has to be embraced by all of us because, the earth is one created by God and the built space by us for ourselves.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Grow business. Transform Gujarat.